Hey guys, it's Jennifer, and I thought, I'm going to try to turn this a little bit. I thought that I would update you guys on my move to the UK and just kind of tell everybody the process that we've gone through so far, what we've experienced, and just kind of where we are. So I know my channel's been really quiet and it's going to continue to be quiet for a while, but I did want to give you guys, an update. So I am in my parents' sunroom at the moment. It is not a great place for light. There's a light switch. Let me turn this on real quick. Okay, maybe that's a little bit better. I had thought that this would be the best place because we've had some really nice sunny days, but I got ready and I'm like, oh, I need to do this today, and now it's overcast. So that's my luck. But yeah, so this is as good as I'm going to be able to do, unfortunately. So let's jump right into some of the details. Okay, so as I said, I am at my parents' house currently in the US, and I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of updates where we are. So we have completely moved out of our house. The first thing that we did is we sold everything that was large. So all of our furniture, we had a huge yard sale. We sold stuff on Facebook Marketplace, a little bit like one room's worth of furniture at a time, because I know people are going to want to know kind of what process we took, because I see people asking in the Reddit expat groups all the time, like, what's the process you took? So that's what we did. So we started by selling the big things. And we pretty much got it down to a blow-up mattress and our washer and dryer. Our washer and dryer was like the very last thing to go out. I'm going to move this just a little bit closer. I know I'm all over the place and you guys don't care about any of this, but it's just this lighting is so awful. Anyway, so we got down to a blow-up mattress, and that was kind of what we lived on for a while. And as long as we had that, then we had a place to sleep, and all was good. So then the next thing that we did was we started packing and separating what we couldn't live without and what we could get rid of. So we ended up with I don't want to say the exact number, but it was like 60 something boxes. And that was the things that we don't want to live without category. So things that we want to ship to the UK, which is a lot. And there was also, in addition to those 67 boxes, there was a couple of guitars, some musical instruments of my husband's. So there was quite a lot of things. And here is the first lesson that I've learned in this process. I really, really wish we had gotten that down even lower. It's difficult. It's difficult to say because, we came to this situation where a lot of the stuff that we had wasn't necessarily sentimental, but we were like, we're going to have to just buy it again. And we're already in a situation where we're going to have to rebuy all new appliances with different plugs, things that, go in the kitchen, like KitchenAid mixer, coffee maker, stuff like that. So it came down to, sheets, dishes, kitchen utensils. We're going to have to buy all of that again. And is it cheaper to just buy it when we get there or try to ship it? And it was just, I wish we had gotten stuff down a bit more, but it is what it is. We had a 3-bedroom house. It's very difficult when you have, that much stuff to just be like, we're just going to get rid of everything. We didn't want to. Like, a lot of the stuff was sentimental and a lot of the stuff was new and a lot of the stuff we just really liked. Like, I love my dishes. I love my dishes. And while I could have found dishes that I love there, I wasn't ready to part with my dishes yet. So that's kind of made it difficult. Anyway, we ended up with 4 U-Pack We Ship crates, which is a lot. It's a lot and it's expensive. So I do wish in hindsight we could have gotten that down to 2 to 3, but we just got our moving crates. So apparently there are 4 individual moving crates in there that's going to ship our stuff. Crazy. Part of the reason, and this is something that if you are considering doing this, here's something else that's very practical that you can take away. Part of the reason we ended up with 4 was because of 2 things. Number 1, weight. So you have to think about the weight of things, and we did ship some very heavy items like gym equipment-y stuff, like dumbbells, like weights. Again, things we could have purchased over there, but things that I love and I just wasn't ready to part with. So weight, you have to take into consideration. The other thing is we bought Lowe's medium boxes and they did not fit in the crates perfectly. So there was a lot of extra room that had we purchased boxes that would have fit in the crate perfectly, already just by doing that alone, we could have like gotten that space down. So I would recommend getting the internal dimensions, especially if you're using U-Pack We Ship, and figuring out the size of the crates and figuring out what size boxes you need. Another issue that we encountered, I think the light is trying its best to like come out now. Like I said, this is a sunroom, so it's bright on all sides. So it's not like, I know the light's behind me, but there's not much I could have done. And again, you guys probably don't care, and I'm the one mostly concerned about lighting right now, but I hate it. All right, so the next thing that we learned is that we have a sloped driveway, which makes our shipping options more limited. We actually wanted I think it's called a pack rat from U-Pack We Ship, which would have been cheaper and better and easier, but there was no way to get it up our driveway. In fact, the truck that delivers it and picks it up, not only could it not get in our driveway, but it couldn't actually get in our neighborhood because of the width of the street versus the width of the truck. So this is something that also you want to think about. Things have to be delivered and they have to be picked up. What we ended up having to do is the truck that delivered the pallets with the crates on it could only deliver it to the bottom of our driveway and could only pick up for the bottom of our driveway. So we had to, the morning of moving day, take the crates, put them together at the bottom of the driveway, and then load my car with the boxes, take them down, load box. We did that for 4 crates. And that was stressful and that was a struggle. So that is something also that you might want to consider. I know my husband had that kind of weighing on his mind for a very long time until we finally got those things moved, and that was kind of a big deal. Well, we have 4 crates just like this. We're in the middle of loading them up and moving them out. You can see my husband down there putting the first crate together, and I am in the process of loading the vehicle so we can get more. So that was a bit of a hassle. But we did get it shipped off. Right now it is being stored in Charleston, South Carolina in their warehouse, because that is where U-Pack We Ship stores things, long-term storage, until you're ready to move them. And we aren't ready to move them because we're obviously clearly still here at my parents' house. So the other thing is that we have applied for our TOR, which is a transfer of residence. This is important because when you bring items or import items into the UK, you will have to pay tax on those items that you're bringing in, unless you apply and get approved for a TOR, which means transfer of residence, and ours has already been approved. So we have 12 months to bring in stuff tax-free. So we did get that done. And when we move, all that has to happen is we have to send the TOR to U-Pack We Ship, and then they'll handle the shipping. I can't really speak to that side of it yet because we haven't gone through that yet. So what else? We have also applied for my visa, and we are waiting for my visa to be approved. So there's 2 main reasons we are at my parents' house right now and not in the UK living our lives and starting our lives. The first thing is, as I just said, the visa. We have applied for the family or spousal visa. We did pay for priority, and we did use a solicitor. I know that's something that people always ask. The reason that we chose to do that is just because when my husband moved to the US, we also hired an immigration attorney, and it made things so much easier. I don't know how it is on the UK side. I do see people online that say that they do this all the time on their own, and that's awesome. But if there's any kind of like special circumstance or something that's a bit more worth considering, then it can get kicked back, and then you have to supply more documents, and we just didn't want to waste the time risking and going about that. I did just think about, I just wrapped up this video and I just thought about one more thing. I am going to edit this in. This was filmed after I finished the full video, but I'm going to be putting this in because this is something that I just thought about that I wanted to share. When I mentioned why we hired a solicitor and talked about how our situation could be a little bit unique, which could cause some back and forth, I meant to go back and revisit and tell you guys what that was. So for a family/spouse visa, my husband will have to sponsor me financially, and he has to show that he makes a certain income or above a certain threshold, and that it has to be made in the UK. So my husband has a fully remote position. And again, based on what research we've done, and we understand I'm not a professional. Please solicit actual professional advice. I'm just giving you what research we found. You cannot work in the UK if you have a W-2 coming from the US. It is a possibility if you have a 1099, I think, which is like independent contracting freelance work. But if you work for a company that issues a W-2, you cannot just be like, well, I'm remote, so I'll just go work in this country. That is not legal, allowed, tax kosher. I'm not sure which of those it falls under, but you can't do it. Again, based on what we found in our research, please do your own. So my husband works for a US based company that has a branch in the UK. They have a location in the UK. And because of that, he was able to negotiate a deal with his company that basically transferred his position to the UK. So it will be the same job, but it will be moved to the UK. And that was kind of what made our situation just a little bit different. It's not like he moved to the UK ahead of me and secured a job and then was bringing me over. So that is why there was a little bit of, finesse that needed to go into our application. But I will also say, because I think that you guys should know this, I think it's fair to put this out there. Most people who do this, who have a situation where they can do this, there is a major salary cut involved. I mean, like 30%, maybe more, maybe less. And the reason for that is because the UK is a completely different market in any given job sector. And you can't just expect to take the exact same, take your salary, convert it to pounds and move it over. It's a different market. And I will give you an example of that coming back the other way. So let's say that in the UK, you are a teacher, and let's say that you're making £45,000 a year. So I have seen, I'm in education, so that's my profession. I've seen some jobs in education, higher ed especially, that pay like, in the 40s. So I'm just picking a median kind of salary from what I've seen. That's not all jobs, obviously. But I do have a doctoral degree, so I have a terminal degree. And so I've been looking at a certain range of jobs. So let's just say 45,000. It could be a lot. I've also seen jobs in the same field making 30,000 pounds, but I'm just picking a random number. So if I converted that to dollars today, let me get that number. So that would be about 60,000 US dollars. I do not know of an educator in the US who makes $60,000 unless they live in a high cost of living area or a higher cost of living area than I do. So they just passed a law in Tennessee, or I don't know if it's a law, an initiative, I don't know what it is, that K through 12 educators should not make below 50,000. I'm not even sure if that's officially passed or whatever, but that was the talk on the town for a while, to give you some insight. But when I got my first teaching job in North Carolina, when I first started teaching, that was in 2000 and, oh my gosh, I don't know, 2009 maybe. The starting salary for a teacher in North Carolina was $30,000 a year. Now, obviously, that was way back then. This is now. In higher ed, because again, that's my field. I think a lot of people where I live in Tennessee are probably hired in the 40,000 to 50,000 range. And you go through promotion, you go through bump ups, you can get to 60,000. Definitely. I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying, like, for someone brand new coming into a job or a new role or something, that would be a pretty amazing salary for someone in education. Again, not saying that it can't be done. Definitely, I'm talking about in the market that I'm in. So this is just an idea to show that markets are different, and different countries value different jobs and different skills and different qualifications and different degrees. And you just cannot expect to move into a market making the same amount of money. I think where someone would really experience this probably is an attorney or a doctor or someone who makes in the hundreds of thousands in the US. If they moved to another country, that does not mean that they will be making that. They may make 100,000 pounds or less, depending on what their practice is or what their area, what their niche is. Some may make way significantly less. So it's just different market and what jobs are in demand. and what fields, vocations are valued in that market. That's what determines the salary and the price. So yeah, when you're looking at that, you may be looking at a significant salary cut. Now, not necessarily, and that doesn't apply to everyone, and I want to make this very clear, because I've seen some people in the Reddit expat groups say that they have not taken a salary cut, or they have even made more. But that's great. That's because whatever job they have, they're moving to a market where those are high paid salaries. But that's not necessarily the case. So be prepared that if you do have a job situation where you can move to another branch, you may have to take a salary cut in order to do that. But again, cost of living isn't the same either. So salaries are not a one-to-one. I mean, they're just not. Like we live in an area that's very, very low cost of living. And my husband and I both had very good jobs, and that put us in a very high percentage of earners in our area. But I don't know that it will be that way in the UK. I don't have a job yet in the UK. I don't know what my salary is going to be in the UK. I don't know if my credentials are going to be as valued in the market that I'm getting ready to move to. So that is just something to keep in mind, is that salary cut is definitely a possibility. But I wanted to throw this in, and I wanted to mention this because I know people would ask, you know, like, well, how did your husband get a job there? I have met some other people who are doing the same thing, and their spouses had to go on ahead and go get a job there before they could bring them over. There's also a savings route where if you have so much money in the bank, apparently I just found this out recently, that the sale of your house can contribute to that. I didn't know that. Like, as far as the length of time, I didn't know that. But we wanted to come over because my husband does already have a job in the UK because his job is being transferred. But it also made a bit more difficult in our application because we'd have to show that it's the same job with a different branch, but it's got a new salary, it's got a new contract, but it's, again, the same job because you have to hold the position in the UK for a certain amount of time to petition to bring a spouse over. But it's the same job. It's just in a new market. So there was a little bit of nuance there that had to be fleshed out by an attorney a bit, but I just wanted to make that clear. So we did hire a solicitor and we did pay for priority service. In hindsight, I don't know that we should have paid for a priority service. That probably was money we could have saved, but we did pay for it. The closest biometric center to me was a bit of a challenge as well. We looked, there are 3 surrounding states right around me that have biometric centers that I could have drove to. 2 of those 3, it's getting so dark in here again, I'm so sorry. But 2 of those 3, we're not taking applications for whatever reason at the time. I have no idea why. I still have no knowledge or information about why that is. But they were not taking appointments at the time. Let me just see if I can move and get this. I'm really just so hyper focused on this lighting. So let me see what I can do. 1 second. Okay, hopefully that's better. I have to sit in front of the door because there's lighting on all sides, as I've said. So hopefully maybe that's a little bit better. All right, so back to what I was saying. So I had to actually fly to Boston to do my biometric appointment. Boston is nowhere close to me. I live in the South. And it's a 2-ish hour flight. So it was not easy to go to. And I also had to get a hotel room. That was a little bit lame just because we had to pay for a flight, which wasn't inexpensive, and a hotel room. And I had to go and take a couple of days to go up there and do that. And again, the centers around me weren't taking appointments. The closest state to me was Georgia, which would have been Atlanta to go to the biometric. But I probably would have still flown, and I looked up flights from where I am and they were like $600 or $700, which is crazy. I guess because it's so close that you could drive. Whereas I think my Boston ticket was on Allegiant and it was a couple $100 or something. So that ended up being the cheapest option. But keep in mind, if you live in a very, very rural part of the US, which I do, getting to biometric centers may not be the easiest thing. But we did that, and now we are just waiting. So visa could come at any day. I'm not sure. And it's getting ready to thunder and rain. I just heard thunder. It's a real shame that I did this on such an overcast day. But again, this was the time that I had. So yeah, I am, and I'm going to talk about the second reason why we're here in just a second, but I am currently not working. I have already resigned from my position. I do have my effective date for resignation is later in the summer. And I did that so that I could be involved and have some meetings this summer and do some training of my replacement when that gets settled. So that's the reason. So I'm not actually actively working right now. There are some summer things in the next few weeks that I'm going to be doing. But yeah, I have actually officially resigned from my position. They have already posted for my position, and they may already be in the process of filling that. I'm not sure. So yeah, that's where we are. So back to the second reason that we're here at my parents', besides waiting for the visa, we are waiting for our house to sell. So this is just like the greatest source of stress at the moment that we are experiencing. So moving to the UK, like you might have to pay capital gains on your house if you sell your house. Now that's not 100% true, and I'm not a tax professional, so I'm not going to try to explain any of the laws around this. This is what we have found that pertains to us. While it is our primary residence, there may not be tax gains on your primary residence. There's a couple of things. Number one, from what we can see, you have 9 months to move in before you do have to pay capital gains on foreign income. Again, I'm not a tax professional. This is just based on what we've seen and what we can find. So keep that in mind. But the other thing is we need our sale in order to purchase a house when we get to the UK. So we plan on staying with my in-laws until we find our house and start the house buying process. And yes, my fellow UK friends, I am well aware of the nightmare that it seems to be to purchase a house in the UK right now, but it is what it is. I mean, we're going to be doing it because we feel that putting the money that we make from the sale of our US house, we find it to be a better gamble, if you will, to put that back into real estate, even in the UK, than to put in the stock market right now for a few reasons. Number one, because we have 4 pets and we think that renting would be very difficult in the UK with 4 pets. And number two, we want to be settled. We like home ownership. We like having our own space and our own place, and we want to be settled. So it seems like the better place to put our money. But we definitely need to sell our house first before we can do that. And well, and again, to kind of go off on a tangent here, the reason that is so important to us as well is because we have already reached out to a couple of different mortgage brokers in the UK and gotten like pre-approved for a loan or for lending. And it's not a lot. It's not a lot that's going to buy us the house in the size that we need and also in the place that we want. And the reason that we have been offered such a low loan is because I have 0 credit there. US to UK credit doesn't transfer, so my credit score is 0. And I'm also on a visa, not indefinite leave to remain, or on the US equivalent, a green card. I will be on a temporary visa that I will have to renew after a certain period of time, which is risky for a lender. And my husband's credit score isn't great there because he hasn't lived there in a decade. So he has not utilized credit in a decade. So it will probably be over a decade by the time we move back. So his credit score isn't the best there either. So we didn't get offered a huge loan. It's okay, but we need the sale of our house to go with that, definitely, if we want to purchase a house. So we listed our house before we moved out in mid-ish May. And we got an offer on the very first day, but it was a very low offer and it was a very high risk offer. It was a contingency offer. But the thing is, their house hadn't even been listed yet. So they were making an offer based on the sale of their home that hadn't even been listed. And that scared us a little bit. I do wish in hindsight we would have worked that offer a bit more. But at the time we were thinking it's day one. This is a high risk offer. It's a very low offer. And our agent told us that they probably could not afford more than what they offered. So we were just like, it's day one. Like, I don't know, we're probably not ready to take such a huge loss right away. So it's now been listed for 40 something days and we have not gotten another offer. We've gotten lots of feedback from the viewings we've had, which have not been an insane amount of viewings. And the feedback is all basically said, we think it's priced really well, but it's just not for us, or we don't like this element of it, or we want a basement or whatever. So it's not been anything. And we have also already lowered our price by 15 grand as well. So we have not sold it yet. And that is kind of where we are right now, is we're waiting for that sale to happen. Obviously, it takes 30 days to close on a house in the US. So the second we go under contract, like tomorrow we have a showing scheduled. So that would be June 20th of when I'm filming this. So July 20th, I think my visa will well be here by then. That's when we would close. So we could theoretically be moving by the end of July. But again, these are all things that are kind of out of our control right now, which has been really, really tough, especially for me, because I am an anxious person and I just feel like my life is just like, who knows at the moment, just kind of blowing in the wind. It's just a little bit unknown. I will say that we had a trip to the UK and we cruised back on Cunard in May before I submitted my visa application. And we had a chance to go to the area that I was interested in. And we got a chance to stay there and to see the area, to view a few houses, to kind of make sure that that is where we want to be. And I love this area. I'm not going to say the name of the city / town / village because it's small enough that I don't really want to give that away, not because I'm gatekeeping, but because for privacy reasons. But I will tell you that it is in the southeast-esque, and I loved it. I fell so in love with it. I found this place that I'd never heard of, and neither had my husband, by really communicating with ChatGPT about what things we wanted in a place to live, including distance to major cities, train links and connection links, and weather. That also played a very big part in our discussions, because I am from a place that has very warm summers, not like Florida hot, but warm, and I was not ready to give up such an extreme amount of heat in the get-go. So we found this area. I mean, we went through lots of areas and lots of things, crime and just overall life happiness and housing prices as well. All of this went into the research and looking for a place. But visiting there, it was the place. It was beyond a shadow of a doubt, just like it felt like home to me. There was such a connection. I just loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And so, yeah, like that's definitely where we want to be. But again, at the moment, we're just waiting. So yeah, so that is kind of all I can share right now. This video has gotten very long, which is unfortunate, but I've gotten a lot of questions about, can you talk to us about the process? What is it like? Just the nitty gritty details of moving to another country. And so I did want to share some of this stuff. It is a very complicated process. It's nuts, to be honest. The complicatedness is nuts. The details, the spreadsheets that we have, the things that we've had to work out with shipping and coordinating and selling a house and selling our items and packing everything up and then getting to a place where we can live out of a few suitcases. I mean, and luckily we had another place to go, which is my parents. I mean, if we were in an Airbnb or short-term rental or something, we'd have to do a whole lot more balance of budgets and things. And it is very complicated, but this is where we are now. This is how things are looking. I'm really hoping to be able to give you guys another update soon. Right now, so originally we had hoped to move at the 1st of July, but that did not happen for all the reasons stated. Right now, our next goal is end of July, but if we don't have our house under contract in the next 2 weeks or so, then we may have to push that to the end of August. So that is kind of where we are, and that's what everything is looking like for now. So if you have questions at all about any of this or about the process or anything, please let me know in the comments down below. And next time I give you guys an update, I will try to address those questions. This is all new and different, and just, you know, I'm just navigating this very stressful, difficult time as best as I can. But it's a lot, and it's a lot to think about, and it's a lot to process, and it's a lot. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below what questions you have. I would love to answer anything that you guys want to know, and I will hopefully see you guys in my next update. Hope everybody's doing great, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.